good.
And our officiating crew, Kip Kissinger. Working this one with Tyler Kump and Chance Moore. Chris Merlot, our standby official. Second round action. Game 3 of day 2 as VJ Edgecombe attacks down the lane. The offensive rebound, Jalen Celestine missing a putback. And out of the pack, here comes Doug McDaniel, hustling the other way for K-State.
Really good look. You've got to be able to knock it down.
Coleman Hawkins launching a 3, but David Gasson hustling for the offensive rebound for the Wildcats.
Night 2 of these tournaments, sometimes it benefits the team that got that first game underneath their belt early. Of course, in this case, it'd be Kansas State.
Shot clock rolling down. The pull-up jumper at the top short. David Gasson, the putback off. The Brendan Hassan miss, and K-State on the board first.
Nobody put a body on him. You got to put a body on him. You got to box him out. You can't allow him to get a free lane right to the hoop for a second chance point.
Already 2 offensive rebounds in that first possession for Kansas State. Robert Wright, the third. Point guard for Scott Drew and Baylor. Down the lane, Norchad O'Meara throws up a wild shot. And here come the Wildcats countering. David Gasson runs the floor, cuts to the bucket. And he is all 4 for Kansas State, forcing an early timeout from Scott Drew.
You take a bad shot at one end of the floor by Norchad O'Meara, then you get beat in that defensive transition. It's just tough for Baylor. With the way this game has started, they've had 2 layups, Roxy, that they should have made. I mean, wide open layups. This is just, a circus shot, unnecessary. And then just get beat down the floor in transition. Beautiful job just running the lane. And Gasson unable to finish.
And Gasson was limited last night because of foul trouble in their win against ASU. David Gasson, in fact, had 3 fouls and no points at halftime last night. Did make a big play late in the game as Kansas State finally put Arizona State away last night. But Jerome Tang, who spent 19 years sitting with Scott Drew on the Baylor bench, now in his 3rd season as the Kansas State head coach.
Well, you mentioned Gasson struggling last night. He didn't struggle against Baylor in the first meeting. He had a double-double, 13 and 11.
And Scott Drew, who engineered the national title for Baylor back in 2021. 3 times been Big 12 Coach of the Year, now in his 22nd season as the head coach at Baylor.
This team has had a lot of inconsistencies at Baylor with injuries, short rotation, not a lot of depth.
A little banged up in this one as Langston Love forced out to the wing. Jalen Celestine. Langston Love, pump fake, drives baseline, and a foul will get Love to the stripe for Baylor, but Baylor's been dealing without Josh Ojamina for about the last month. A big part of their rotation, especially where they're thin in the front court. And then Marino Dubravcik, the freshman from Croatia, was injured in practice this week. He will play tonight, but he has a shoulder issue that he will be laboring through.
Well, just puts so much more on Norchad O'Meara. O'Meara averaging a double-double, by the way. For the last 7 straight games, he's had a double-double. He's averaging 15 and 12 per game, but the biggest number for him is fouls. If he gets into foul trouble, that really hurts Baylor's opportunities to compete on the glass.
And the 89%er Langston Love makes both free throws to get Baylor on the board. Doug McDaniel, who was great in the second half last night.
Great active hands right there.
Robert Wright, the drop-off, and VJ Edgecombe ties the game.
You have active hands on defense and allows you to play out in front of the opposing team, Kansas State's defense. Good job in transition. Easy bucket for Baylor.
Robert Wright, another assist this year, setting the Baylor freshman season assist record for Scott Drew.
Good cut through the 1-3-1 to get right in front of Norchad O'Meara. Jones did a great job slicing in from the opposite side.
First points for Max Jones. Norchad O'Meara backs his way in. And Coleman Hawkins pulls it down the long outlet to Doug McDaniel. Brendan Hassan over the corner, Max Jones. Rims out a 3, and Norchad O'Meara had the rebound and lost it and got it back for the Bears. Norchad off the lob and finishes inside, and we're tied at 6.
Good pitting seal underneath. Norchad is so strong. He's undersized. He's been undersized his entire career, but his motor, his heart, his positioning, his strength in the upper body creates angles for him to score.
One of the best rebounders we've ever seen in the history of college basketball.
He's a tremendous player. He's had a tremendous career. And you look at 2,500 plus 1,600 rebounds. Let's go back to a couple possessions ago. Against the 1-3-1, you're going to watch the cut come right here. And when you cut in front of the defense, you're going to end up getting a wide open look. The one thing you can't afford as a defensive player is to allow somebody to cut in front of your face, Roxy, because that means they're going to be available for the pass and be able to score. Jones did an excellent job against the 1-3-1, and against that 1-3-1, you do have to cut and move aggressively into that spot.
One more from Max Jones, the grad transfer from Cal State Fullerton. It's 2 really good years for Dedrick Taylor down in Southern California.
You think about the 1-3-1. Where's the 3? It's across the free throw line in most cases. So if you cut from the weak side in front of that back line, now he has to defend 2.
Max Jones hits both. And it's again K-State by 2. C.J. Jones in the game off the bench for Jerome Tang. And also checking in for the Wildcats is Ugana Anyenso. Jaden Nunn, Jeremy Roach in off the bench for Baylor. Shot clock down to 7. Langston Love. And a running hook off the window, rattles out. Norchad lost it out of bounds. And it belongs to Kansas State. The early 2-point lead for the Wildcats in Kansas City.
Now they stand across from each other tonight.
And King McClure was talking about it last night during the game, that Jerome Tang was maybe the main reason at the end of the day why he ended up at Baylor.
Did King tell Scott that? I'm just wondering.
Doug McDaniel missing a 3, and the rebound batted around, and it's grabbed by Jeremy Roach for Baylor.
Kansas State 0 for 4 from 3, 3 for 3 inside the arc.
DJ Edgecombe to the basket, and with the left hand, rattles out. Norchad keeps it alive. Jaden Nunn, 3.
Where they needed that. Nunn has been struggling from 3, 0 for 6 over the last 2 games from beyond the arc. He's a guy that can shoot the ball very consistently from deep.
First lead for Baylor. Here's Coleman Hawkins, isolated on the wing. Finds C.J. Jones, who has the 3 blocked and pulled down by Norchad. Jaden Nunn penetrates and gets to the bucket.
They need an additional score. VJ Edgecombe has been consistent. Norchad has been great. All of a sudden you get somebody else like Nunn, the transfer from VCU. He can be an explosive guard. 13 times he's got over 10 points in a game this season.
Baylor's won 2 of their last 3. They did lose their regular season finale when Sean and I were in Waco in a hard-fought, terrific basketball game between Houston and Baylor.
VJ Edgecombe, the dunk, the block.
Darting to the bucket, Jaden Nunn has 7, and now Jerome Tang calls an early TO.
He doesn't just have 7, he has 7 in a row. I mean, this might be at the end of the night. You remember where you were when Jaden Nunn took over a game at the Big 12 tournament? He's been outstanding so far. Gets his feet set from beyond the arc, dials it in from beyond the arc. And then defensively, being active, deflecting the shot. He's playing with a sense of purpose and a sense of energy. You can sit there and say that this is a 7-0 run by Baylor. It is not. It's a 7-0 run that has been sparked solely by Jaden Nunn. They were equal in the paint. They had more points off of turnovers, more second chance points in those games. There were some positives that Baylor could take away and say, hey, you got a chance now to come to Kansas City, make a little bit of noise and see if they can improve their seeding in the NCAA tournament. A couple wins here, you know, it's not only big for them, it's big for anybody on their schedule. I know the guys in Spokane were talking about it. It could become a quad 1 game again.
David Gasson fouled.
They're on that cusp of being a quad 1 game for Gonzaga at home, and that would be important for that NCAA tournament.
A couple of free throws coming up for David Gasson. The foul is on Marino Dobromicic, and his first will send Gasson, a 59% foul shooter, to the line. And one more for Gasson. And Joe Lunardi's latest bracketology. Baylor is a 10 seed right now. West Virginia as a 9. They lost to Colorado earlier today.
Probably drops them down a seed line, and then Cincinnati completely out of the equation after their loss earlier today. That's why you want to make sure in March you're stacking up wins. You know, and for this Baylor team to avoid potentially having to go to Dayton. There's nothing like March in college basketball.
10 to shoot for Baylor. Jeremy Roach.
Good defense by Kansas State here, getting in the stance.
Jalen Celestine. 3 for Celestine.
Gasson didn't hustle out. Everything is good until that final kick. The shot clock's winding down. He's got nowhere else to do but to knock down that shot. You got to close it out.
Largest lead for Baylor. They've made 2 of 2 from downtown. Kansas State needs to get somebody else involved. It's Gasson and Max Jones have combined for all the points. As David Gasson now with 8 of Kansas State as well.
My bad coach on that defensive closeout. It's not going to be a 3, but let me go ahead and get 2 of them back.
I need to make up for it.
Yeah.
Foul on the drive, and it's on C.J. Jones of Kansas State, his first.
That previous possession there, Roxy, defense was great over the rotations, and as they lift, Gasson tags too long underneath. That creates the long closeout. And you see Coach Jerome Tang on the sideline. He was saying, get out there. You got to sprint with urgency. It's tough in those pick and rolls because where you're going to tag from, where you want to help from.
K-State 0 for 6 from 3 to start this one. And last night they were 8 of 18 from 3 in the win against ASU. They shot 50%, 36 points in the paint last night for Kansas State. Good defense from Max Jones.
Max Jones, excellent job fronting. North Chad O'Meara, you got to throw it up higher.
Coleman Hawkins. And he gets tied up by Jaden Nunn. And the arrow stays with Kansas State.
And then neither one will let go of the ball because that's what we do. What are we doing? Just let go of the ball. I promise you. It's okay, guys.
And then they pat each other on the back.
Yeah, good effort, good effort, good effort. Way to be strong, way to be strong.
It's also a sign, look, these two teams will fight tooth and nail tonight. But there is certainly a level of respect and admiration for both sides considering the relationship of the head coaches. In fact, in the game earlier this season, Baylor won in Waco toward the end of January. B.J. Edgecombe went for 30, as Sean talked about earlier, young career best. And Baylor made 11 threes in that game. David Gasson had a big game for Kansas State. He had 13 points, 11 rebounds as he gets fouled. And we'll get to the line, but the real interesting thing from that game, after the game, Scott Drew went into the Kansas State locker room and talked to the Kansas State team.
And he was like, hey, when we see you in Kansas City, what we'd ideally like.
But it also speaks of the relationship and the closeness of these two coaches.
There's a great respect, and they've been through so many. When you stand on that sideline and you're a member of a coaching staff, and certainly the ones that have had success like Scott Drew and Jerome Tang did together, they're bonded for life. They're bonded for life. They won a national championship together. How could they not be? They took this program at Baylor from the depths of college basketball to one of the brands of the sport. And now Jerome Tang's trying to build his own brand at Kansas State.
A successful run for Jerome Tang in year 3, already 61 wins in the 3 seasons. The pull-up jumper missed by Jeremy Roach. North Chad O'Meara grabs the rebound, and a whistle And a foul is called on Coleman Hawkins.
Well, offense has been struggling so far for Baylor, but one guy has not. It's Jaden Dunn. He's 3 for 3. The rest of the team is 3 for 10. Somebody else has to step up and help Jaden Dunn and get this offense. Ladies and gentlemen, just turned 50 this year, by the way. Happy birthday, Casey.
Brings the studio on the road with him. The T-Mobile Center here in Kansas City.
He brought Stephen Oley, too. We tried to trade him in, but he still showed up.
VJ Edgecombe, 3.
11 made threes in the first meeting between these two teams by Baylor. They are 3 for 3. Kansas State wants to run them off the three-point line. They haven't attempted a lot of threes, but every single one they've taken, they've made.
And a foul is it's on Langston Love of Baylor. And the first on Love.
I mean, just too easy here for Baylor. I mean, back off, and this is the growth of VJ Edgecombe. Earlier in the year, he hesitates on that shot. Now the completion of his game and the confidence that he's growing with over the course of the year from Scott Drew, he feels like he can knock down that shot on a consistent basis.
Big 12 freshman of the year.
Yeah,
Baylor has matched their largest lead.
I talked to a couple NBA scouts in Las Vegas about VJ Edgecombe, and in talking to those guys, they feel like he could go as high as 3 in this draft.
And that would give Baylor a top 20 pick in the NBA draft for 5 consecutive seasons.
Well, he's going in the top 20.
That's true.
I mean, if he's going at 3, Roxy, he's probably, even if he slides, he's not sliding past 20.
So you're saying I'm stating the obvious?
Yes.
Okay. Miss from VJ Edgecombe. David Gasson pulls it down for K-State, his 4th rebound. Coleman Hawkins.
They've done a good job staying in front of Coleman Hawkins early in this game.
That one rims off for Coleman Hawkins. He gets pulled down by Baylor.
He's 0 for 2 and doesn't have an assist yet.
Different start tonight than he had last night. He was the aggressor against the Sun Devils last night and set the tone for Kansas State. As it rolls in, Jaden Dunn already with 9.
He only had 4 points in the first meeting between these two teams. And as I mentioned, he's been struggling to find some confidence from beyond the arc. And tonight, he's playing with confidence in the totality of his game.
David Gasson across the key, and Gasson already in double digits. He has 11 of Kansas State's 15.
One of the things that Gasson does so well is he gets into those screen actions and he rolls, he catches, he's got great hands, and because of his length, he can finish over the top. And remember, not really a true shot blocker out on the floor for this Baylor team. They don't have depth in the paint.
Baylor has made 6 of the last 8 shots from the floor. Jeremy Roach makes it 7 of the last 9 with his first points of the game.
They're starting to get downhill, though, and get a piece of that paint on a consistent basis. 12 of Baylor's 23 points have come in the paint, and most of them have come here in the last 5 minutes or so.
Brendan Hossett, 3.
If you don't know he can shoot from the outside, you haven't paid any attention to film. Number one thing it says on the scouting report for Hossett is his ability to stretch from the outside.
3rd in the Big 12 this year at almost 3 made threes per game.
86% of his makes are from 3. 86%.
Norchad Omier attacks for Baylor.
Hassan does the little short roll, and Norchad's like, I can do that too. And he's got 4 and 5 already, well on his way to another double-double. He just continues to move up that double-double list, Roxy.
He's a walking double-double. The floater, Doug McDaniel missing it short, but kept alive by K-State. David Gasson missing in the key, and the rebound, Norchad Omier for Baylor. Jaden Dunn, 3!
That is
what a start for Dunn.
But Jeremy Roach made that play possible with an outstanding shot fake, drive baseline, and find it. Beautiful recognition by Jeremy Roach.
Baylor is 4 for 5 from 3. And a 10-point lead for the Baylor Bears.
5 of 5 tonight. I mean, just great to see him in that rhythm and that flow from beyond the arc.
Baylor's made 9 of their last 11 shots from the floor as Doug McDaniel comes up short. And it's controlled by Baylor.
Yeah, it's been the versatility of their offensive score. The paint they score from beyond the arc.
Norchad Omier missing a 3. And rebound Coleman Hawkins for Kansas State.
I didn't like that one.
And Doug McDaniel makes a pay going back the other way for his first points.
That shot was because Norchad Omier settled. He took a poor shot, and that allowed Kansas State to run in transition and score easily. And right now, Norchad Omier is tired. He kind of looked at Scott Drew and said, "Can I get one?"
Jaden Nunn way off with that one, and the rebound Brendan Hostin for Kansas State.
The last 2 possessions they've settled for shots from beyond the arc. It's not the same quality of three-point shot that we've seen them knock down earlier. When they've moved the ball and they've had better spacing and they've relocated to open areas, Roxy.
Max Jones in and out on the 3, and Norchad Omier pulls down rebound number 7.
He is the chairman of the boards for this Baylor team.
For college basketball. Chasing down his own miss, Langston Love. Norchad Omier underneath. And the hustle keeping it alive for Baylor.
Even when he's tired, he plays with such great effort. He's trying to power his way through. He's got his hands on his knees at the defensive end of the floor in the middle of the key. Norchad was 6 and 7 already.
Doug McDaniel skipping to the bucket.
Now that's where that fatigue kind of sets in a little bit. He just said, "Can I get a timeout?" He literally bent over on the inbound pass and said, "Man, can I get a timeout?" They've played pretty long period of time here without a break.
We're way into the under 8 timeout. VJ Edgecombe missing the 3, and Doug McDaniel the rebound. Here comes K-State. Coleman Hawkins off balance, and the rebound VJ Edgecombe, and a foul on Kansas State.
Look at Norchad Omier. He is bent over in the middle of the paint. Scott Drew's coming out to talk to his big fellow who's played so well in the early stages of this game. He hasn't even gotten to his little tiny chair yet. Where's Bill Walton when you need him? Jaden Nunn, he's been great, 5 of 6. He's got 12 points. The ability to get downhill. He's made a couple three-point shots as well. But Gasson in that short roll gets his hands on the ball. Great length. Doesn't have to worry about a shot blocker. Finishing up over the top. We got a good game.
Of Baylor not having Joshua Johnwell, who could gobble up a lot of those front court minutes. Now it's Norchad Omier until he needs a break when he's gassed like right now, and then Marino Dubravicic will get a couple of minutes to spell him.
Well, maybe not even a couple minutes, because the next time out, because of how long that went, was come at the under 4. Could have 2 timeouts within 1 minute, and maybe he feels good enough to finish this half.
Fade away by Jeremy Roach.
Jeremy Roach playing with some good control tonight. He did not play against Kansas State in the first meeting. He's battled some injuries throughout the course of the year. Didn't play well this past weekend against Houston. Only played 12 minutes in that game. Well, he's had a couple of good plays already. They assist for the 3. A mid-range jump shot.
Grad transfer from Duke. As C.J. Jones sends it toward the rim, but off on the putback is Moby Ikegaruke. Pull up by Roach. And the rebound tipped, grabbed by Baylor and pulled out by VJ Edgecombe. On the reload, a 3 too strong from Robert Wright. And it's Doug McDaniel tracking it down for the Wildcats. Doug McDaniel, an impressive move.
He is so speedy with the ball in his hands. He has the great ability to get to a spot. He can shake you up a little bit, get your weight shifted, and once he sees it, he's going to attack.
Really has flourished as the point guard for this Kansas State team, and didn't start early in the year, and then The last 20-plus games, he has really emerged as Norchad Omier right now at the table getting set to return.
There's no break for Norchad Omier.
Shot clock rolling down on Baylor. Robert Wright in the key, and there's Doug McDaniel, the rebound. His 4th rebound.
But given the fact there was no stoppage in play for about 6 minutes, we could go all the way to the half without another stoppage of play.
That hits the side of the backboard for McDaniel. It pinballs around, and diving for it and almost taken out is head coach Jerome Tang as Max Jones with a hustle. It'll be a Baylor ball. 2:48 to go here in the first half, and an 8-point lead for Baylor.
You know what Champ Week means, Roxy. You know you got to sell out. You got dreams. We've seen runs, improbable runs happen. Look at North Carolina State last year. Maybe it's K-State this year.
Or Colorado.
They got to get their offense going. Easy, easy, Roxy.
Not just the head coaches.
Good pin and seal.
Norchad Omier, the slam.
How about that one? Beautiful entry pass by VJ Edgecombe, but the pin and seal underneath was elite by Norchad Omier.
Coleman Hawkins steps out, missing a 3. It was challenged by Norchad Omier.
Coleman Hawkins is yet to score here tonight.
He had 19 in the first half last night. And a foul will send Baylor to the line.
Well, what you're going to see is watch the duck in and the pin and the seal underneath. Gasson had no answer. I mean, Norchad Omier just bounced him back by 5 feet. Looked like Marcus Morris. That's how Marcus Morris used to post up.
That's how Marcus Morris used to finish, too.
Marcus Morris can also shoot. Marcus Morris was also a pro.
One more for Jeremy Roach, missing the first. 10-point lead for Baylor. They've led by as many as 11. Holding Kansas State to 35% shooting here in the first half.
Well, the defense was pretty good against Houston the other night. I mean, and that's one of the things talking to the coaching staff. They felt like the defense has been much more connected as of late for this Baylor team, and it's shown that so far here in the first half.
VJ Edgecombe breaks it up.
Yeah, he stiffed that one out.
Paid attention to the scatter report. Norchad Omier.
So that's the question for VJ Edgecombe at the next level. Is he a facilitator? Is he a playmaker? Can he make that transition from a wing guard to a lead guard? They put the ball in his hands a little bit more as of late. 2 good finds back-to-back to Norchad Omier.
Largest lead for the Baylor Bears. In and out on a 3 from Brendan Hassan. Kansas State just 1 for their last 7 from the field.
You got a little bit of a mismatch underneath right now with Jones on Norchad if he pushes up and seals.
VJ Edgecombe says I can take it myself.
Yeah. VJ Edgecombe all of a sudden is taking his game to another level. 2 good assists, then he goes and drives the lane. His athleticism, he glides. He just flies and he lifts off the floor. There's an eloquent aspect to the way that he jumps.
7-0 run and Baylor is up 15. Max Jones. Kansas State in desperate need of a basket. That one's way short. Jeremy Roach crashes the lane. And a jump ball, the arrow stays at this end, and a Baylor ball.
Yeah, just drove into traffic, but VJ Edgecombe, man, he has been playing so well. Look at the pass that he sets here. Little screen, slips it, gives it a dime, and then beautiful find. I mean, just a little slip screen action, and Norchad Omier, and then his athleticism off the bounce. When he's got a taller player like Gasson on him, he knows that his first step is going to be really elite and get past him. That explosiveness is an A+ according to Jonathan Gavoni.
Did you like that?
He's pretty good. I think his upside is so high at the next level. He is just scratching the surface of who he can be when he matures and continues to grow as a basketball player.
Although when he had that dunk Saturday night, you got up from the table and started walking away.
Well, I took the headset off. 2 reasons. 1, it was a great dunk. 2, I was done listening to you.
No. Unfortunately, you've been stuck with me quite a bit recently.
That's okay. I love it, Roxy. You know that. I kid because I care.
A block
That's an easy call.
And the foul on Baylor, and it's the first on Jaden Nunn.
Great execution. Norchad Omier just kind of walks towards the ball. He's just trying to occupy a defensive player, and then Hassan just gets caught, and there's nothing he can do. I mean, Hassan's not getting up there to stop that.
9 straight for Baylor. Kansas State needs some momentum going to the locker room. Doug McDaniel trying to create. McDaniel slammed by Jaden Nunn, and that'll take us to halftime. What a close to the first goal to end the half. And again, keep in mind, Baylor again, 26 of their 41 of the paint. They hold Kansas State to 31% shooting in the first half. And as Doug McDaniel lines up a 3, Kansas State was just 1 for 12 outside the arc in the first half.
A welcome sign to try to loosen up the interior of that defense. Because they're struggling so much from beyond the arc, it allows Baylor to really get inside gaps and get inside the lane and not allow Kansas State to get to the rim.
Deep 3 from Jaden Nunn, and an answer from Baylor. 15 for Nunn to lead all scorers in the game.
He looks great, doesn't he? I mean, it just, I love when players step up and march with the mindset of, like, this is an opportunity tonight. You lose, you go home. You win, you get to stay another day. And that vision of winning a championship. Baylor has a checklist in their locker room, and one of the things on their list is win a Big 12 tournament.
Which they have not done, even though they've won a national championship 4 years ago.
You know, pathway is long. Nothing gets determined tonight, but Jaden Nunn, NBA range, feet set, square shoulders, come off that screen, looking to score. When you come off a screen, you have to look to score. It makes the defense guard you more honestly. And if you're not available, then probably the roller is going to be open.
And the other amazing stat for Baylor so far tonight.
Norchad Omier dunk.
Give him now 12 assists and just 1 turnover tonight for Baylor.
I mean, that was just a complete defensive breakdown on the back line for Kansas State.
K-State battled Arizona State, winning in the first round to get to the second round. Baylor had a bye into round 2, and Texas Tech will get the winner tomorrow night. David Gasson and 1 as Gasson leads Kansas State now with 13.
And go to the other end of the floor, though, and I'm just going to draw your attention really quickly here to Norchad Omier. That's where he is on your screen. Now watch him as this play rolls out. They run a little flex cut along the baseline, no communication. Coleman Hawkins had no idea what he's doing out on the floor defensively on that play, and Omier gets in for the dunk.
Second foul on Norchad Omier. And David Gasson now 4 for 5 from the line.
One of the ways that you can start to inch back into this game, you're down 16. Be aggressive, try to force the issue a little bit, and see if you can get to the free throw line if you're Kansas State.
And they have to get Coleman Hawkins involved.
But he has to be involved. Like, it's not just about, like, okay, let's run plays for Coleman Hawkins. It's how engaged is he? He's kind of floating out on the floor right now. He's not really putting himself in a position to impact this game.
Jalen Celestine with the layup. Grad transfer from Cal.
When you get that loss defensively in that previous possession, when you're just not talking, like, so much of basketball is communication. Not just at the defensive end, but also the offensive end. We talk so much about talking on defense. It's equally important to talk on offense.
And a turnover committed by K-State.
Turnover if they get there.
Robert Wright recovers. Still lots of time on the shot clock. As Wright missing the floater, and Coleman Hawkins pulls it down. K-State looking to run.
Looking to run, but there's more white jerseys than there are lavender. I do love the lavender jerseys, by the way.
Coleman Hawkins. That one spins out. David Gasson on the offensive glass. Brought it down, ripped away by Jaden Nunn. And Baylor takes control, and Nunn is still down. Behind the play, Jaden Nunn now finally getting to his feet.
I think Gasson fell right on top of Nunn.
And the foul is on Doug McDaniel of Kansas State.
Good scrap underneath. You see the fight for the ball, and as Gasson goes down, his foot hits Nunn right in the face. You see Gasson like, my bad. Totally incidental. Nothing about that was malicious whatsoever.
Baylor with an 18-point lead here early in the second half. Baylor, even with the loss to Houston in the regular season.
They go that 1-3-1 zone here again. You have to cut and screen the zone. Like so often, you don't screen the zone. You screen the zone, you can create a lane to drive.
VJ Edgecombe, too strong on the three, and the weak side rebound grabbed by Doug McDaniel.
Really impressed with Baylor tonight. You know, they come off of that loss at home to Houston, and they've been really efficient in how they've played this game tonight, Roxy. At both ends of the floor. Connectivity defensively, giving up some bad, forcing Kansas State into contested shots.
Max Jones scoops it for Kansas State.
That's really the first time we've seen them score in transition since the early stages of this game. Like they got off to a pretty good start, and they were able to score downhill early, Kansas State. But then after that, the defense started to get set. And how it gets set is by running good offense. And Baylor's shooting at 54%. They're not turning it over. That's allowing them to get their defense set and force his work ethic, and his motor makes him elite. You know, we talk about playing hard as a talent. Well, then Norchad O'Meara is a really, really talented basketball player. He fights for every one of those rebounds. He's not the tallest guy. He doesn't leap the highest.
There he is down low, too hard, trying to bank it, and the rebound, David Gasson for K-State. It's Norchad O'Meara, the first person from Nicaragua to ever get a Division I hoops scholarship.
They've got a couple more Norchad O'Mearas. There'll be a couple more.
Max Jones missing a three, and there's VJ Edgecombe ripping it down for Baylor. And O'Meara started his career at Arkansas State. Played 2 years there, 2 years at Miami, and now his grad season at Baylor as it's kept alive on the offensive glass. And Jalen Celestine puts it in.
Baylor's just outworking Kansas State right now. He missed the layup, get another missed layup, get the offensive rebound, miss the layup, then get another. I mean, they're putting themselves in position to make plays. K-State's just standing a little flat-footed at the defensive end.
And just 2 of 17 from 3 tonight, the Wildcats. Taking it strong along the baseline. First points for C.J. Jones.
I think that's part of it, Bill Roxy. I think that the struggles at the offensive end is impacting their effort at the defensive end.
Teams you were on, was there a carryover effect from one end to the other?
Yes, you watched my teams. You know
yes.
That. I mean, when our offense wasn't great, a lot of times our defense wasn't great, and that's not the marking of a team that can really win in these kind of one-off settings.
The rebound, David Gasson, and a foul on Baylor.
Well, earlier today, Joshua Jefferson, the transfer from St. Mary's, man, did he have himself a game.
And they fought through that game because they got banged up in that win against Cincinnati in a game that Wes Miller's team desperately needed. K-State desperately needs to get back into this game, but that won't help Doug McDaniel to miss.
Do you see the difference in quality of shot, Roxy? I mean, it's just so stark between the two teams. The ball movement, the assist totals, 13 assists on 21 made field goals. Limited number of turnovers, only 2 for Baylor. And then a lot of these shots are just, it's not that they're bad shots, they're just out of control. They're not on balance.
Approaching 13 minutes to go. Baylor has led by as many as 19. Texas Tech will get the winner tomorrow night in the quarterfinals as the 2 seed Red Raiders getting a bye into the quarters. The flip missed inside by Jeremy Roach, and the rebound pulled down Coleman Hawkins for Kansas State.
And remember, unique in the setting that we're in right now, that I would anticipate because of this lead, Baylor will start to be much more deliberate in their offense for the remainder of this game. Limit the possessions. Don't expend too much energy. You know, they've got this game in control right now. You can't let off the throttle completely. But if you don't have something in transition, set it up and work the clock down a little bit.
And Scott Drew doesn't have a lot of depth with his team, so it's not like you can go all that deep into your bench and try to rest some guys for tomorrow night. As VJ Edgecombe in double figures now with 11.
Edgecombe's so smooth. You know, I've seen him a couple of times this year, and every time I watch him, I go, that's a pro. Halftime, I was talking to a Baylor fan. He goes, I'd sure like to see him come back next year.
Good luck with that.
I said, well, do you have $22 million in NIL money? He's done such a great job. Another one of Scott Drew's former assistants is defining roles and understanding what those roles require of you every single game.
Kansas State forces a turnover with the press put on after the timeout and a kick. It'll stay at this end with Kansas State, and checking in for Baylor is Jason Asamoah.
That kick, though, was good. I mean, because it just stops any aggression or quick looks for Kansas State. Now you got to go against the half-court defense. Little things like that by none. Those are winning plays in a conference tournament, Roxy. This city is so good for the Big 12 tournament.
Off balance, C.J. Jones will get to the line.
The depth of this league, Roxy. You know, we talk so frequently about the makeup of a national champion, right? Like, a lot of times we use like Ken Palm metrics and offense and defensive efficiencies. There's 3 teams that, according to Ken Palm statistics, right, like top 45 in offensive and defensive efficiency, top 26, or that Houston, Texas Tech, and Arizona all kind of equate to that. Iowa State did for a long period of time, and that matchup tomorrow against BYU is going to be sensational, because that game that we saw in Ames last week was bonkers. It didn't make any sense. I mean, you had 29 turnovers that led to 34 points, and you're thinking to yourself, man, Iowa State's got to run away with this game, but they got beat on the glass. Richie Saunders is just relentless. Kevin Young's team comes in as one of the hottest teams, not only in this conference, but in the country.
They're playing unbelievably well right now, and they've been on a roll for a while.
We never thought early in conference plays, could they get to 10-10 and make the NCAA tournament? They finished 4th
in this league.
That matters.
Which is extremely impressive by BYU. They have that bye into the quarterfinals tomorrow. The top 4 seeds, Houston, Texas Tech, Arizona, and BYU, make their tournament debut tomorrow.
The metrics doesn't love BYU as much because of the strength of their non-conference schedule. It was not a great non-conference schedule. Kevin Young has told both of us that's something that he wants to improve moving forward.
From deep, and a 3. Jaden Nunn, 18 points. 4 threes for Jaden Nunn. David Gasson cuts to the basket.
Gasson continues to be a bright spot, but I will tell you this. Part of Nunn's success is the play of Jeremy Roach. Right? And Jeremy Roach came to Baylor with a lot of expectations transferring in from Duke, but he's just making the simple play. He's not overdoing it.
Robert Wright.
That's a great kick. I mean, that's another example, back-to-back possessions where Jeremy Roach has just made the simple play. Get into the paint, jump stop on 2, find a wide-open shooter, make the game simple. The simpler the game is, the better you will execute.
First points of the night for Robert Wright. Just past the midway point of the second half. David Gasson drops it in. But Kansas State can't trade buckets. They need to get stops.
They also can't trade 2s for 3s. I mean, 7
That's
made,
not advantageous.
7 made 3s. Could be another one right there if he took it.
Jeremy Roach will. Jalen Celestine, the offensive rebound.
But 7 made 3s to just 2. You say 5 differential plus 3. That's 15 points off the 3-point line alone that you're behind.
Way off from Jalen Celestine. Doug McDaniel Here's the rebound out of there for K-State.
Couple of the fact that they've got 34 points in the paint.
Knife right to the bucket is Gasson again.
If it wasn't for Gasson, I mean, this would be a nightmare for Kansas State. And he's got 20 of their 44 points, and Baylor's got to figure out a way in transition to stop watching the ball, because it'll open it back up, and then you go right back inside to Norchad O'Meara.
Shot clock down to 5. VJ Edgecombe on the step back.
That was a tough one.
And the rebound, Kansas State.
Norchad's down. You've got numbers if you're Kansas State. Looks to push.
They look to attack, but turn it over. Jalen Celestine trying to push it back the other way, but Baylor turns it over. And a Kansas State ball with 8:25 remaining.
I think he threw it off of Norchad O'Meara's foot as he was running down the floor.
But Norchad O'Meara was not the intended target.
No, his shoe as he was running was not the intended target. You are correct. Both teams,
sometimes I can pick things up.
Both teams are playing too fast right there. I mean, just settle down. You have number situation for Kansas State. You don't have to drive immediately into the traffic. You talked about the spacing of Baylor's offense, Roxy. There hasn't been great spacing offensively for Kansas State.
How about that? From Doug McDaniel, the high degree of difficulty on that shot.
Well, he can do that. He's the only other guy in double figures right now for Kansas State. He's got 13. I would have liked to seen that same kind of shot on the previous possession. Look out.
And Coleman Hawkins drops VJ Edgecombe at the rim. And that's a third foul on Hawkins.
Baylor came here understanding the assignment. A win tonight, they breathe really easy on Selection Sunday. But a win tonight opens up the door for another opportunity tomorrow. They've got a 12-point lead, and they're pretty happy. But a flagrant one.
Edgecombe will shoot it. He was the recipient of the foul. And he's got 12 points tonight. One more for VJ Edgecombe. Third foul on Coleman Hawkins.
And that stops a 6-0 Kansas State run. Edgecombe, what I love about his game, Roxy, is he can play with the ball in his hands or without it. He cuts with purpose. You saw him work the back line of that defense to get up there. He's played very solid. This is his first time playing in this kind of setting. You know, I mean, it's conference tournament. Everything kind of gets ramped up a little bit. He's got 13 points, 3 assists.
Third straight freshman of the year for the Baylor Bears.
You think Scott Drew's staff has done a pretty good job recruiting?
Ball stripped from Jeremy Roach. Gets it back. And the scoop by Roach.
Very rarely do you want to save the ball underneath your own basket and toss it back in. It usually ends up exactly as that possession did. This place is going to be buzzing a little bit later on tonight when the Kansas Jayhawks show up.
And a whistle and a foul committed by Baylor as the finale, the nightcap here in Kansas City, has the Jayhawks taking on UCF as Johnny Dawkins, UCF Knights, pulling away from Utah in the second half last night.
Keyshawn Hall, leading scorer in the conference, didn't make first team all conference, but does a great job of not just scoring the ball, but getting to the free throw line. Like, free throws will be important in that game. Not that that's going to make you want to tune in.
Unless you love free throws.
You love free throws. UCF might be your team if you haven't watched them all season long.
First foul on Jalen Celestine. Speaking of free throws, K-State and Doug McDaniel going to the line. 2 shots for McDaniel. Transfer from Michigan, 73% from the stripe this year.
He's been playing pretty well as of late.
He was terrific in the second half last night in their win against ASU.
How good is his end-to-end speed? I mean, like, when he gets space, and I think he's one of those players that does need space to operate. And he is so quick that he can be a one-man press break by himself.
even with that quickness, he always seems on balance.
When he has played well, Kansas State has had a lot of success this year.
I mean, the problem for Kansas State is David Gasson's having a great night, and McDaniel is playing well. 14 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. They don't have a third scorer. They don't have another option.
Coleman Hawkins coming off the big scoring output, and that was kind of my fear. And that's what we talked about in the open. I said it's not about him scoring points. He's not a scorer naturally. He's about a 10 to 12 point per game guy. But it's the versatility. He only has 1 assist in the game tonight.
And is scoreless. To the bucket. Jeremy Roach for Baylor.
That bench production keeps adding up. Jeremy Roach playing really well now. He's got 9 points, 5 assists. Add that with none, he's got 18. Like, good contributions.
And the first points of the night for Coleman Hawkins. Over 33 minutes into this game, he finally gets on the score sheet.
A good job getting on that offensive glass, but it's frustrating, I think, for Coleman Hawkins. This night has not gone the way that he would have hoped. And it's tough sometimes to do it in back-to-back nights.
And in defense of Hawkins, he was banged up toward the end of the year.
The zone defense hasn't really caused any issues for Baylor.
Jaden Nunn. We got a wedgie.
And Jeremy Roach has caused issues, though, for Kansas State. And you look at his ability to attack downhill, beat off the bounce, good pin seal by Norchad Omier. It's essentially a moving screen as he ducks in there. But that little move creates the space necessary for Jeremy Roach to be able to finish.
And because of the wedgie, we go to the possession arrow, and it belongs to Baylor. They do get 20 on the shot clock because clearly everybody saw the ball hit the rim.
Stuck on it.
Here's Roach. Pull-up jumper by Roach. Falls off, and a foul going for the rebound.
That'll be on Omier.
And it is on Norchad Omier. And that's foul number 3.
Low foul total, really, for both teams. I mean, that's a 6th foul for Baylor, only 2 for Kansas State during the second half. I mean, there's games that we've called, Roxy, where both teams are in the double bonus by now. I like this. This is good.
This is tournament basketball.
Let them play. I think his crew's done a really good job. I mean, they've been consistent.
Kansas State has made 6 of their last 7, but they're not making much headway. They're still down 15.
It's because they're trading baskets.
Max Jones gets in the lane. And a tough turnaround shot by Max Jones.
I mean, shooting the ball much better here in the second half than they did the first half. They got 27 points, which is more than they had the entire first half. They only had 24.
And the other thing that's great about the way this game's being played, only 10 turnovers between the two teams.
You have to value the ball and much. I was in Las Vegas last night for the WCC tournament. St. Mary's, one of the best teams in the country at valuing the ball, turned it over 18 times. Took a loss.
PJ Edgecombe hustling for the offensive rebound. Neither team wanted to make a 3 in the game last night.
Worst shooting game in conference tournament history. So proud I was there to witness it.
History will be made.
3% from beyond the arc combined between the two teams. 3%, Roxy.
Is that not good?
Roxy, you and I could have gone out and made more 3-pointers.
Just checking my phone to see if Randy Bennett or Mark Few is looking for help.
Our producer, Joe McCoy, just got in my ear and said he could make a 3.
Doug McDaniel off balance. The rebound, Norchad Omier pushing it back. Edgecombe glides in and 1. BJ Edgecombe.
Beautiful outlet pass, thrown ahead, and Edgecombe as good as anybody in the open floor in college basketball. I mean, he's just great body control, splits the defense, knows they're coming, doesn't try to dunk it. Instead, just looks to extend his arm out and get the end-one opportunity.
And one free throw for Edgecombe. First foul on Max Jones. Rims off, and the rebound, David Gasson for Kansas State.
Edgecombe was great against Houston. I mean, that has to be a confident gainer for him. And that is just not communicating and being on the same page for Kansas State. McDaniel threw it at Hawkins. Hawkins had no awareness, had his back to the ball. It literally just goes out of bounds. That is an unforced turnover. There was no ball pressure. It's just trying to do too much, not being on the same page. That's not winning basketball in March.
Norchad Omier missing the jump hook. Here comes K-State. Max Jones fouled by Jeremy Roach, and a couple of free throws for Jones. But the 7-seed Baylor trying to finish this one off. Texas. As Max Jones will go to the line, and still to come, we wrap up day 2 later tonight with Kansas and UCF. K-State win last night. What a difference 24 hours makes. Last night, Coleman Hawkins had 26 points. Kansas State made 8 of 18 from 3. Tonight, Coleman Hawkins grand total of 2 points, and the Wildcats are 2 of 18 from 3.
Tough. And that's the challenge when you're playing in these formats, and when you've struggled and you've had inconsistencies throughout the course of the season, you've got to find a way to be able to sustain and match the effort that you show on night 1. Colorado was able to do it today. How about Tad Boyle's team winning back-to-back contests?
And a whistle, and stays with Baylor as Kansas State player McDaniel touched it while he was out of bounds. And look, there's still a lot more work to do for Tad Boyle and the Buffs, and I'm not ready to crown them the champions. But
they're playing Houston tomorrow.
When they went to the Pac-12, the first year that Colorado was in the Pac-12, they won 4 games in 4 days. The first team ever to do that in the Pac-12 and won the championship. They beat Utah, Oregon, Cal, and Arizona to win the Pac-12 tournament championship in their first year. Now this year they'd have to win 5 in 5. They've got 2 wins already, but it's a tall task tomorrow for Houston to go up against Houston. Jalen Celestine missing. The offensive rebound, Norchad Omier. A kick out, Baylor will run some clock.
Roxy, if they beat Houston tomorrow, I might crown the Big 12 tournament champions.
On the spot?
I might
in the
walk
quarterfinals. The semis and the championships are relevant to you.
Just be like, that's amazing. Good job, guys. Way to go. But they did shoot 60% in the second half of that game, scoring 44 points. That was a bad possession for Baylor.
Shot clock violation for Baylor. 2:45 to go, and up 13. It goes over to Kansas State.
A good offensive rebound, and then they just kind of took too much time. They didn't run any action, and then a really tough, difficult 4 shot by Jaden Nunn. You mentioned the numbers for Kansas State. How about the numbers for Baylor, though? The balance that you're seeing. 18 for Nunn, 15 for Edgecombe. Norchad Omier hasn't scored in the second half. Right? Or no, he had 2 points in the second half. But Jeremy Roach with 9. Celestine with 7. Guys stepping up.
VJ Edgecombe darts to the basket, spins around, and it goes for the Big 12 freshman of the year, VJ Edgecombe.
He's just exuding confidence right now.
Coleman Hawkins rattles in a 3. Timeout, Kansas State.
7 of 15 shooting from the floor.
And also 7 rebounds and 3 assists tonight for VJ Edgecombe. And a foul committed by Max Jones with 1:54 to go. That's only the 4th team foul on Kansas State. They still have a few more to get Baylor into the bonus.
I would anticipate they're going to continue to foul, just get it to that 6 mark. Depending upon how much time runs out, they might just foul all the way to free throws here, Roxy, to try to extend out this game.
Baylor is a team, a good foul shooting squad, 74%, as David Gasson picks up his second. That's team foul number 5.
Still 2 more to go.
Minute 52 to go. And again, the last game of day 2, Kansas and UCF, as Max Jones called for the foul. That's the 6th Kansas State team foul. So now the next one will put Baylor into the bonus. And they take it on Norchad Omier. That's the 4th on Coleman Hawkins. And a 1-and-1 for Omier, a 75% foul shooter. Take a look at our bracket for the Phillips 66 Big 12 Men's Championship. And earlier today, Iowa State, Colorado winning. And then Kansas, UCF later tonight. And the top 4 seeds with the byes into the quarterfinals. And what a great first matchup of the day with BYU and Iowa State tomorrow.
Going to be a great game between 2 teams that were, the battle went all the way to the final weekend of who would go ahead and get that 4th seed. And that game in Ames, Iowa, I think it was on a Tuesday night. And BYU fought, scratched, clawed their way to that victory.
Miss at the front end of the 1-and-1, and K-State launching a 3. And the miss from Brendan Hassan. And Baylor pulls it down inside 90 seconds. Max Jones fouls VJ Edgecombe, the 4th on Jones. And a 1-and-1 with 1:22 to go, and Kansas State right now down 12. And it's been a roller coaster ride for Jerome Tang and the Wildcats through Big 12 play, as they won their opener, then lost 6 in a row.
Yep.
Followed up by winning 6 in a row, 4 against ranked teams. Then Kansas State loses 4 in a row, but then winning 3 of the last 4 coming into this game tonight.
Inconsistencies can lead to performances like we've seen tonight, though. Right? Like, this team hasn't ever found, you know, that rhythm that you start. That 6-game win streak, I think everybody was like, wow, like, here we go.
Here comes Kansas State.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they went on that 4-game losing streak. And you look at this Baylor team, I think, you know, they came in here as a business trip. They didn't want to leave any doubt. They didn't want to have to sweat on Selection Sunday. This win is significant for them because of that. I still think they would have been in the NCAA tournament even if they lost tonight, but this one leaves no doubt.
David Gasson tips it for K-State. Coleman Hawkins sets up in the corner, short on the 3. Gasson saves it again. Brendan Hassan launching. Had a good look. The rebound, VJ Edgecombe. And we have a whistle with 55 seconds to play. And Coleman Hawkins went, or David Gasson rather, went barreling into the front row there underneath the basket. Here's academic now that Baylor will advance to the quarters and have to deal with JT Toppin and Texas Tech tomorrow night.
That's going to be a great contest. JT Toppin, Chance McMillan, and then you've got the freshman, Christian Anderson, who I think has come on as strong as any freshman in this conference, including VJ Edgecombe down the stretch.
Get some big shots in their win against Kansas at Frog Allen Fieldhouse.
There'll be no shot here for Baylor. They'll take the shot clock violation and give it right back to Kansas State.
K-State will fall to 16-17, and Baylor will pick up win number 19. And our Phillips 66 player of the game, Jaden Nunn off the bench leading Baylor. He had 18, VJ Edgecombe 19, but Nunn was the one that really got him going. 4 of 6 from 3 in the game.
Yeah, that bench production was huge for Baylor. They sparked them in the first half. A 7-0 run in about 1 minute and 15 seconds, and then the separation happened, and they never looked back. And the largest lead of the game was 4-0 for Kansas State. And then it was all Baylor after that. Really impressive performance. They shot 56% from the field. They advanced to take on Texas Tech.